record it, and then obviously we can see if there's any input. That'd be great. So today, just a few little things that I've actually turned your webcams and muted your mics for now, but I'd really love you to contribute today. So at any time, feel free to switch them back on and join in the conversation. There will be times when I do ask you to do that, and then become part of what we're doing. So that'd be great. Got quite a lot to cover today, as usual. I have lots of content, but hopefully then you can give me some feedback about some of the things that you're doing too. If you don't mind, if you could write your name and your practice in the chat box, because I'd like to probably send you a little follow-up email with some of the information that we've covered today, just a little bit of reminders. As you know, it's the best way for me to make sure that the right people get that information. So that'd be great if you can do that. And because I've switched your webcams and your mics off at the moment, if you do want to ask me a question, if you wouldn't mind just putting that in the chat box. I know you're quite happy using it. Thank you, everybody's putting in the name. That's great. And what I will do is I will stop at regular intervals during the presentation today and answer questions. If there's something really, really urgent, obviously stick your hand up, put your camera on, wave at me, whatever it takes to get my attention. That'd be great. Okay, so I'm just checking the chat room. Lovely. Thank you, everybody, for putting your names and addresses in. That's great. Just gives me a chance then to make sure that I don't miss anybody when I send follow-up emails with the information. Right, so I make it gone. It's gone. So let's start. So we've got to. So today, really, the idea was that we look at a bit more about your profile. How do you get a practice that people really, really want to be part of when I'm joining you? And when I started looking at the people that were in the Inspiring Accountants book, the lovely yellow one that we all have, that's fantastic. Some great stories in there. And as you've probably seen, we've changed our logo recently. That's up here. And our strapline now is Inspiring Accountants. And that's because we want all of you to become inspiring accountants with whatever meaning that is to you, to make sure that's there. Just before I carry on, I just realised I haven't checked. Can you all hear me? Is everything okay? Oh, thanks. Thanks, Jerry. Just wanted to just realised I hadn't asked that. Okay. So the idea is to help you become an inspiring accountant, to whatever that is. And like I said, the book has loads of examples, but all of them share three sort of common things. What they do is they connect with their customer, their client, in a way that really, really makes that connection strong and long-term and viable. They engage them, they find out more about them, they really, really think about how it is, and they work together. And then they also earn from them, they don't do all this for free. It's not altruistic. We have to earn a living. And they manage to earn from that. And when you look at the book, just again, so I can just remind you about this book, there's some great stuff, which is on page 6 of the book, which is how they're doing it. How are they becoming inspiring accountants? And basically, they're using their core services, they're using their advanced services, so some of those business growth tools, and we'll talk a few about those, mention those later. They might deliver some specialist things because of their specialist knowledge. So I know some of you have got some really key specialist knowledge that can be helpful. And the most important thing that I think for me is the humanitarian services. They actually try and make life joyful for people. They try and help people. And there's a fantastic table again on page 7 which talks about how people felt before and after the accountant helped them. And when you look at the core skills and value and services that people have delivered in this book, the things that have really made a difference, they are things that as accountants we do every day. We just don't position them in a way that our customers see the value in. So if you get a chance, it's really useful to have a look at the front part of this book before the stories happen, to have a look at what's going on here and what the things people are doing to get that connection. So if we look at some of those common traits, the first one for me, really, I said, is connection. So my first question really is who to? And this is about thinking about your ideal client. Now, those of you who've done your clarity roadmap will have already been really looking into this. And when we do positioning, so the study on every come to positioning, really drill down onto who is your ideal client. Who is the person that you want to attract and work with? What are their traits? What are the person you want to look at? And I think that's really important, because it's only when you understand who it is you want to work with, the type of person, the type of business, the structure, maybe the type of work and services you want to deliver, and you then develop your own presence in the market and develop a practice where people come to you, and they may not come to you in droves. If they're coming to droves, then probably then you're pricing things incorrectly, or there's something that you should. But they are coming to you and they are the types that you really want. So really think about that. And those of you that have got the clarity roadmap, please put in front of your action points. Just again, look at that ideal client profile and make sure that everybody in your team understands what that profile is. Who you're looking at. Because as we talked before, there's so many. Your team are your greatest advocates. Your team are the people who are. Oh, so you're having trouble hearing me? Okay. I'll try and speak louder. Is that any better? Let me just check that it sounds like that. Break it up. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to put you on hold, and I will see if I can connect my headset to see if we can get the sound better. So just 1 second while I just try and get that. Sorry about this. Okay. So, can people hear me any better now? Okay, lovely. Okay, I'll use my headset then. There's obviously a challenge with my computer today. Right, so let's get back to fantastic. Okay, it's quieter. I'll try and shout a bit louder. I'm not known for being really quiet, am I? So we'll try and keep that going. Okay, so what I was talking about, excuse me, I've got paper rustling here, I'll move this, is about making sure that that ideal client profile is shared with your whole team. Anybody who is out there promoting your business, talking about your business. So your team are going to, when people ask them what they do, you want them to be talking about your client, but they are also people who can spot those ideal clients and make those connections so that they understand that ideal client profile. So really important. Obviously, you also want to look at how then are we going to get known? So how once we know our ideal client, and also we know what our unique value promise is to people, or our unique selling proposition, whichever you want to look at it, then how do we know? Again, if you're not really clear about what is unique about your business, then please, again, go through the positioning roadmap and have a look at that, because that's really focused about us really narrowing down what it is that's special about you and what's special about your business, why people should come to you, because that's really important. And then obviously, if that you understand that, you need to get out there and you need to get a bit known. So I'm going to ask you a question, if you don't mind putting some stuff in the chat box for me. What tools are you currently using to get better known in the marketplace? I'll just give you a minute to start putting in the things that perhaps you're doing. Now, you've put sales speaking. Does that mean actually going out and speaking at events? Yeah. Jerry's put website, talks, emails, hosting online stuff. Yeah, okay, thank you. Networking, LinkedIn blogs, yeah. Fantastic. Stephen Carey's put that he's using the BBF in a little modified form. Helplines, newsletters. Brilliant. So you've started to tap into all those different things
Oh, some great ideas here, guys. So what I'll do is I'll share all of these afterwards, all the different things that you're doing. But again, with all these things that you've just talked about, whether they're newsletters, whether it's using LinkedIn, whether it's using Twitter, whether it's speaking, it's really important to have that clarity to be really, to really define, first of all, who you want to work with and what services you want to be known for, what you want to be known for as a business. And there are some great examples of that. And I know that if you go to the websites of most of the firms that are in the World's Most Inspiring Accountants, you will see that that's been encapsulated in what they're doing. I'm really glad, Stephen, that you pointed out the BBFs, because again, as an advanced member, that's a really great tool to start getting out there in the marketplace and just being seen as something a bit different, giving some business advice to businesses without any sort of lock-in for them. You know, they come and do some training, and obviously you open the floor to them to answer their questions. You do some connections with them. Obviously, they may buy from you afterwards, but it's a great way of doing that. So I think it's really important that when you look at all these things, brilliant, Tony. Tony's talked about having a new logo so that your logo defines who you are. And again, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because, you know, here at AVN, we have updated our logo. We've been looking at sort of pulling it together, and we're currently doing just a little, very, very short video explaining the transition from the old logo to the new one and what it means for us and for you, hopefully. But again, being there, being in the face of people, showing people and being known. So making sure that actually all of that's done. So one of the other things that we know, isn't it, that you need to be liked, is that know, like, and trust factor is how you connect with people. And when we say be liked, it's hard, isn't it? There are some people that we really get on with, and there's some people we just don't. And that's because of our values. And I don't know how many of you remember this from one of Shane's presentations. Brilliant. So Tony's just asked where you get your positioning roadmap from. That's great. If you talk to one of the PGEs afterwards, or if you drop me a line, I'll talk to you about getting that moving forward. Stephen Carey's just talked about the fact that he's been doing the BBS. 8.6 out of 10 for satisfaction. Fantastic news. That's brilliant. Well done, everybody. Well done, you, Stephen. Right. So going back to values, sorry. So if you want to be liked, then you need to have people, really, don't you, that sort of fit in your values. And if you remember, Shane does this great little pictorial demonstration of how it works, really. So if people are very close to you in your values and your beliefs, whatever those are, then they become your really close friends. If they're a near match, they sort of become mates. If it's opposing, then you're unable to connect. And it's the same with your clients. If they don't have the same values and beliefs, you know, if they're not ethical, if they're not, they don't have that same belief in the way you should treat each other, or whatever your values are, then you won't be able to connect with them. As you can see on here, on Shane's, he also talks a little bit here about the team as well having the same values. And it's those people that have matching values, or very near matching values to you, who will be your advocates, who will be those people that really drive your business forward. It's the same with your clients. You know, when you talk to them, and you know, there's some people that you just definitely connect with, and they're usually people that have the same values as you. And so it's again understanding your own values and beliefs, which is again something we have a bit of a look at, don't we, in positioning. Then it's something that might be good for you, because then you can spot that in other people. So when values align, that makes it much easier to be liked. Also, I've talked before in other training events, I'm just going to very quickly sum it up. There are also different profiles in people, aren't there? I know some of you we have profiled in the past, and we've talked about profiling and understanding that. And I will, in a little while, just very quickly remind you of a sort of slide that shows you about different profiles. But people have different ways of responding to challenges. And so, again, understanding people's profiles, knowing what they're like, being able to adapt your behavior around them is really, really important. it's something that you don't have. I mean, I love the idea of looking into people's profiles and understanding them more, and changing my behavior to get the best relationship with those people. But you don't have to go into it an awful lot of depth. There are just some people you know. So, for example, there is a profile, and that person will want everything now, and they'll want things in bullet points. They don't want lots of information. That sort of person, if you understand that sort of profile, that when you talk to them, you can talk to them about urgency. You can talk to them in bullet points and then say, I'm just going to give you the bullet points now, and I'll send you a document with the detail later. So if they do want the detail, they can read it another point, but you've got that detail. There are other people who actually, they really need to ask lots of questions. They really need to get a lot of information. Those people are the thinkers, and sometimes it takes a while for them to make a decision. Understanding that your client is that sort of profile means that you don't get stressed if they can't make a decision and say yes and buy from you now, because you know what they need is a lot of information. So you can talk about things, you can make sure you answer their questions, you can make that connection, and behave so that you understand that. So that's a great way of understanding that and getting light. And one of the other ways is about language, the language you use. So we probably all know about VAC, visual, auditory, and kinesthetic people, okay? And people are a mixture of the three, that they respond either to things that are visually in front of them. So those of you that are like watching my videos or my slides, auditory, those that are listening to me very clearly, or kinesthetics, those of you who are still playing on a keyboard somewhere or twiddling your thumbs or flicking a pen because you need to do something with your hands while you're watching me. And we're all a bit of a combination. If you were here, you'd see my hands are moving all over the place. But that's who we are. Now, those, depending on what is your preferred, so the one that you most obviously, it affects your language. Oh, just had that open a minute ago, but it's not going to do it. Let me just 1 minute. I should just find it for you. Let's see. So I'm just going to just stop this share and share with you a different document that I've got on screen. Okay. So this is a little document that we use internally here at AVN. I'm not sure how clearly you can see it, but I just wanted a little bit. So understanding people who are visual, and you'll know of those sort of people because they say, it looks good to me, or I see what you mean. And then when you're talking back, you can obviously say, am I painting a clear picture of that? Do you want to have a look at these things? Can I show you more things? So you use that sort of language, and that builds a connection because you're using the same sort of language. There are people that are more auditory, so they'll say, it sounds good to me, or I hear what you say. So again, what you talk to them, does what I'm saying sound right? So that you can get connections, so that you can get those sort of feedbacks from your client as to whether or not they are connecting with you. And then the kinesthetic people is that, they're the people sort of touch, so it feels good to me. And so you might say, I want you to grasp this. Are you getting a handle on this? Are you following this? And you can see that. So we have a whole series of words here, visual ones, auditory, kinesthetic, things that you can use when you're talking to people so that you get that connection. So I'm just going to close that a minute and we'll go back to. So, okay. Thank you, Leslie. Yeah, we have talked about this before because it's really important to make that connection, to understand how people operate, how people think, how, see, my hands have just come up. So, if they're making that connection, you can do it in a very subtle way. This is not about being really a bull in a china shop. This is about being very subtle about making that connection. And so if I go back to sharing my screen and we go back to the PowerPoint, just so that I can show you that. I hate PowerPoints, but I've done it. I've actually got here a challenge. So I would like to set you a challenge. I'd like to see if you can spot somebody, talk people perhaps in your team initially, and just spot which is their major connection. Are they visual, auditory, or kinesthetic? Listen to the words that they say to you and see if you can tag that. And then can you use appropriate language back and does it affect their behavior towards you? You know, some people will be much more responsive when you ask them to do something if you ask them in a way that incorporates either something that's visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. Okay, so as a little bit of a challenge to just see if you can do it and see if it helps you build rapport, because that's one of the things obviously we're aiming to do. Now the third thing obviously is about trust. Now trust is one of those things, isn't it? It's not something that comes easily to everybody, and it's quite important, and there's some fundamentals about trust, really. So the first one really is about having credibility. And most of that is about sort of, usually it's words, isn't it? So it's the things like your credentials, and they want to understand that you're truthful. And so people will say, I trust what they're saying, or I trust that they're going to do something for me because they are credible. And part of that is we use that, don't we, our credibility, when we look at, again, in positioning, we look at what makes us a credible expert, what makes us credible when we are going to create our unique value promise. So thinking about credibility. The second one is about reliability. So you only trust somebody that you feel is reliable, and that's about their actions, isn't it? So are they dependable? Are they predictable? So then in that case, the sort of words would be, I can trust them. And that becomes trusted as a person. The fourth one is we call about intimacy, which is about security. So they think that you have discretion and that you empathize with them. So again, we're thinking about how we behave with people. And so they would trust a person. I trust him, or I trust her. And if you can feel that language. And the final one is, it's called self-orientation, but it's about focus. So it's somebody whose motives are on behalf of that person. So that your client would think, actually, that person cares about me. And so that's the sort of levels we want to get to. And what is very, very clear in the world's most inspiring accountants is those accountants that have made a massive difference and whose clients have valued them in so many ways. It is because they feel that they are cared for. And that's that level of trust we need. So it's really important that what we do when we first try and connect with somebody, if we can, is listen. Now, a lot of the things that we do currently to connect with people is on the internet. It's social media and everything else. But what happens is once you get that first contact with them, it's really important. If it's over the phone, if it's face to face, if you can't meet somebody face to face, if you could do it something like on Zoom where you're seeing somebody as well and they can see you, to get that, to listen to them, to understand them a bit more, and to make that connection. And of course, what allows them to trust you is whether they see testimonials. So, you know, they've seen on your website, in your other marketing things, testimonials from people, preferably people that they can see in business so that they know who they are. You know, I'm not talking about really famous people, but in your area, they could say, oh yes, so that's the butcher's down the road and I know them, or that's somebody I meet at the Chamber of Commerce, or somebody, whatever. So they've got an idea. The second one is stories. So that's what this book, isn't it? This book was all about, was collecting stories about how people had connected and helped somebody. And if you've got a story that you can tell, it's fantastic. So is it remembering to gather them? Now that's always a challenge because we're always in it and we're doing it and we're helping somebody. But what you need to be doing is somehow have a record to take stories, to understand what the client's position was at the meeting point, and then be able to record later on what you do to help and the solutions, so that your entry into this book would be written before you'd even thought about it. And obviously the other one is awards. So again, having somebody else tell them that you are a great company, a firm, not only business ends, but as award-wise, that's great, and it's really important to do that. So initially, we've talked about connecting, that know, like, and trust factor. And we do an awful lot of that in the profile roadmap, which I know is quite a way down. It's number 6 in our 7 roadmaps. But that's because at that point, you will have everything ready to be able to deliver, you know, seminars and to present and to get that know, like, and trust factor really well. So what I would like to move on now is the next section, which I think most people, which is engaging them. Okay, so once you've connected, whether you've done that, you know, via social media, or they've just seen your face, or they know who you are, and there's I don't know how those of you that remember that Mark used to do a great little example at Masterclass, where he would show an email that said, I'm in your area and I'd really love to meet with you. I'm free at this time. Would you like to join me? And he says to the room, would anybody like to come? And everybody goes, no, I can't be bothered. And then he says, and what if at the bottom it said, from Richard Branson? Would you come there? And everybody did. That's about connecting, isn't it? That's that know, like, and trust factor. And that's a great story to get people to engage. So once you've connected somebody, they know who you are, or they feel like they know who you are. They feel that they like you because they understand your values and they connect with them. And they feel that they can trust you because of the stories that they've heard about you, the awards you've got, the things that they can see about you that means that you deliver on that credibility, you know, and all those other things that I talked about. Then obviously you want to try and engage them. So the first thing obviously is the important thing is that you've got to engage them with your message. So having a clear message of what you want to do. So I don't know how many of you have actually managed to create your elevator pitch. Again, that's something that I know some of you have been doing as part of positioning, to create, you know, just the short little phrase, you know, well, the first sort of a 2-minute speech that will just get people to go, oh, tell me more. That encompasses all your values, all your beliefs, all the things that you want people to know about your business, and to be able to just sum that up in a very short way so that somebody goes, tell me more, and you can get that meeting. If you haven't done that, at the end I'll be telling you the date of the next positioning event, and I think some of you probably want to come along and join in with that. Obviously, the other thing is about making sure your marketing message is aligned with that and has the same thing. So just really wanted to remind you that in System Builder there is a marketing toolkit which brings together all the different marketing resources to help you with that. Currently, obviously, you're marketing in lots of ways, but again, making sure that you've got a consistent message everywhere across your marketing is really, really important. Because again, it's that, remember I said it's about that, just lost my notes. It's about that sort of credibility and reliability, so that every time they see your message, they believe it's the same truth. There is a credentials, there's dependability, they predict it, but it also means it grabs their attention. And so connecting with that, and more importantly about who you are and who your business is. And again, on the positioning day, we spend a lot of time just making that, you know, clear in our heads, moving that forward. So what are other ways of engaging them? So if we're actually in front of somebody, what we really need to do is get rapport, isn't it? You know, you've got all this work together. Now what we need to do is engage those people, because it's only then can we really help them. So looking at their engagement, I've put here some of the things that when we meet people is that we really need to think about body language and facial expressions. Now, what I'd like to say is, please don't read too much into it initially. You know, I've worked with some people who sit there and just frown. And you think, my goodness, this must be horrendous. But frowning is their face for thinking. Now, and you know, everybody, so not too much, but actually how they change. This is what we're looking for, not making a judgment. So, you know, people used to say, oh, well, that people's body language is, you know, they've got their arms crossed, it must be negative and all the rest of it. Well, some of that's true, but what we're looking at is how the body language changes as you talk, and about making sure that you watch that, look at that. But more importantly, the next thing is obviously to listen. So thinking about the tone, the passion, the language, and what happens behind that, making sure that you ask questions that help them. Again, there's a great resource in System Builder about asking questions and thinking, because what you're wanting to do is really understand these people and understand where they are at the moment. You know, we're going to talk in a minute about, we'll talk in a second about where the pain is, what the challenges are. And a lot of that you can get from the tone of voice they're using. You know, those people go, oh, I'm just having a really bad day. Well, okay, we need to find a way. If at the end of that meeting they're going, do you know what, this is really great, the difference in the tone is the thing that means that you can evaluate that you're making a difference. It might be their passion about something. So again, looking at what is it that makes them passionate and asking them questions to try and drill down and find what is their passion. Some of them may have lost their passion for their business. So again, for those of you that have got the advanced tools and you look at perhaps the Making It Happen program or the Business Edge program, there's things here, there are questions in there that can help you get people to sort of drill down with why did they start their business? What was it they hoped to get out of it? What are the things that they're really passionate about in life now? Why does that give them that excitement and passion? What is it about them, that thing or that person or that situation that makes them passionate? And how can we use that to bring that into their business, to bring the passion back into the business? I've mentioned language, again, listening to their language, and reflecting it. Maybe not extremely. The other day I was talking to somebody and they were quite swearing all the way through my language. I'm not swear back. That's not what we need. But I was able to jolly it through and enjoy it, and not take offence from it. And again, that's understanding that that's the way sometimes the language people use is indicative of the stress they're under, the situation they're in, and being able to see that and almost record that for yourself. So when you then help them, you can see how that changes. And what's behind the language. So thinking about the questions that allow you to dig a bit deeper to find out why are they saying the things they say, and making sure that you ask those open-ended questions. We know about those, don't we? Rather than the yes/no ones, the closed ones, to engage people and make sure that they actually sort of start talking to you. The big thing is to listen. Let them talk to you. Even if what they're talking about doesn't appear to have any relevance to any services that you think you can help them with, let them start it. Because what will happen is, as they talk about it, it will drill down to key issues that those people might have, that you will then be able to help in some way. Because, we all have the same challenges. Most of all, be human, okay? Be caring. That's what we talked about earlier, that being caring, it's important to show them that. Part of the engaging, sorry about that. Where have I gone? Lost my slides, that's interesting. There we go. Is about understanding. We've talked about this, and I just really wanted to bring in something that some of you probably have learned in other areas. Something that, we always bring back to, which is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and about thinking about what people's needs are. So when you're talking to your client, at the beginning, what we all need is sort of our basic needs, food, water, warmth, rest, security, safety. And a lot of time, those basic needs aren't even being met because people are frightened. They're worried that they haven't got enough money to pay their mortgage. They're worried about, not being able to pay the bills. They may have a leaky roof. Who knows what's else going on? And some of those basic needs are the thing that's holding them right back, that those things aren't being met. Now, in our role as accountants, we can help, give them some of that security and safety, can't we? We can look at what the challenges are. We can help them manage their money, their financial situation. We can give them some security in their numbers. And I know I was talking to somebody the other day who was saying to me, that's one of the things they love about using the online accounting software, the QuickBooks and the Xeros, because it allows their client that security to be able to go online and see their money situation. And that just calms them down a bit because they know what their situation is. And if the situation isn't good, then they know they can come pick up the phone to the accountant and start talking to them about what can I change in my business to help that. So a lot of the time what we're working with is actually some of the really basic needs to help people to continue. And once you manage that, and once you help them with that, that creates a connection for life, because you've helped give them that safety, that security. Now, obviously, the next one's the psychological needs, some of that about prestige and feeling accomplished. That's about knowing that their business is giving them ultimately what they wanted out of it. Some of that, some people want a business that stands out there, that shows the world that they are, great at business. Some want to have awards to show that, other people recognize them. Some just want their family to go, that's a great job, Dad, I'm really proud of you. Whatever it is, again, what we're doing as accountants is we're building them the foundations, the structure, that security and safety that they can start measuring things to get that sense of accomplishment. So when we talk to people, we can say we can do all of this. You know, once we listen to people and we understand that their key challenges are either in that basic needs section or in the psychological needs, or even at the bottom here, top, sorry, here, the self-fulfilling needs. So what are they doing to achieve their full potential? And that's where we can go really into some of the business growth stuff in detail. This is how we can focus our solution finding, because we understand some of these things. So really seeking to understand, you know, their pain, what their dreams are, you know, where do they want to go? If actually what they're really looking for, you know, they've managed to deal with the pain. That's the pain bit down there, isn't the basic needs. And actually up here, they're thinking they've really got some dreams now. What are their dreams? And then making sure we get to the truth of it all, not what they think we want to hear, but what is the real truth behind what the business is, what they feel about their business, where it's going, and moving forward. And then to be able to start looking at the potential of them. So all of this is just in conversation, isn't it? All we're going to do is listen about to them and find out what they really want, and get a feel of what they want, you know, what they want to be doing with their business. So if that's the case, then can some people give me some feedback really about how are they feeling about, oh, sorry about this, my screen has just gone silly. There we go, do apologize. How do they feel about having those sorts of conversations with their clients? You know, what do you do currently about having those sort of conversations when you're trying to engage with people at the beginning of a relationship, or even when they're a long-term client and you want to start working with them in a much deeper level? Anybody want to put some comments in there? Because some of this is hard work, isn't it? And also, it's when you're thinking about chargeable time, it's not chargeable time as such, but what it's doing is it's really, really giving you the foundation, isn't it? Yeah, I completely. Jerry's saying it's really important to see them regularly. That's right. Leslie's saying use taxability. That's a great opener, isn't it? Fantastic. Because what you're doing is you're getting a feel about them. Val, we try to talk to all clients about these things. That's brilliant. Yeah, it's true that Carla's saying that clients need to know you to a certain degree before they'll engage in this sort of stuff. You're right. It is. It doesn't work for everybody, but I think what happens is, again, it's about getting back that bit at the beginning. You know, we talked about if we have matched values and we have the same, we can build that rapport with people, then they will open up much quickly. Yeah, Sue's saying, I think I can do this. I just need to make the appointments and get them in. It's true time, isn't it, to make this right? And what we need to see, it's quite interesting, isn't it? All of us spend money on marketing. Okay, all of us are quite happy to spend money on our websites, to spend money getting or time putting things in our blogs, on our social media, all the rest of it. This is marketing too. Okay, this is warming up leads for business growth work and business development work. So you have to see it that way. This is an investment of your time to understand these people, because the end game is there. And it's important to think about that in that way, not to think, oh, it's just wasted an hour having a chat with somebody. All that time you will have learned some really key things. And if you can make sure that you're keeping notes about that, it's really important. You're right, Jay, that each client is different, and some are more easily engaged with people. And again, that's back to where I talked about at the beginning about there's some people who you just click with, don't you? And they will talk to you and they will open up. Some people are good at that. Also, some people have that as a skill, don't they? You know, I know some people who, it doesn't matter who they're talking to, they just sit there quietly and people just open up to them and they tell them all sorts of things. So that's really important. You know, it just depends. It might not be that you're the best person in your business to be this one having these conversations, but I pretty guess most of you are. And obviously through the roadmap system, you're learning all about that. Yes, Stephen, that's brilliant. The best thing I did was stop filling out timesheets, because it removed the pressure to do chargeable time and allowed me to spend unlimited time with clients, listening to them chat about their everyday hassles. And that's right, because when you learn about those things, that's when you can start helping them find solutions. Because that's what we are, aren't we? We're the solution finders. We're the people who can help them solve those issues. Just as a little aside on this, because obviously we're going to start looking then at potential and how we can make things earn with them, is that I wanted to just very quickly, remind you a little bit about, talk about profiles very quickly, but I'm not wanting to spend a lot of time on here. So this is a profile thing which is under the DISC profiling, so dominance, influence, steadiness, and compliance. And it's a sort of a standard thing. The things I wanted to just show you is obviously, again, when you're talking to people, you will spot this about them. You know, there are some business owners that, that are really forceful and direct and assertive, and they're the driving people and they're dominant. If you understand that about them, then you see that actually what they're motivated by is about having authority, getting things moving, but they do have a big fear of failure. So part of what you have to do is you have to make sure that there is management processes within whatever you do that make sure that everything's monitored so they don't fail, so you can take away that fear. You know, we're back to that basic needs thing. Their fear is failure. And so understanding about that, it's really good. They like to have results. So again, in our jobs as accountants, doing monthly management accounts or having monthly board review with people and talking them through key performance indicators using the one-page plan, for example, is really important for those D people, the dominance people. If you've got somebody who's I, you know, those chatty, persuasive, friendly, communicative type business owners, then actually you'll know them too. And everyone's a combination of these four, by the way, but you'll see again people have sort of stronger traits. And those people like public praise and recognition. So when you think about that hierarchy of needs, if you remember again, that's about making sure that those people get acclaim for what they do. So those sort of people, perhaps they'd be good to do a benchmark on to see how they are compared to their industry, and think about where you could praise them for the great stuff is, and where you can help them say, right, actually, if you want to be as good as the best and get that public praise, then these are the numbers we need to work on. And you can help them get that public praise, you know, and help them get awards or whatever else it is needs. Their basic fear is rejection. So obviously you need to make sure you keep them involved. They feel part of it all. You know, they see that they are included in what's happening. You've got the steadiness people, and they're the people, you know, they're very deliberate, they're dependable, they're good listeners, they're very kind. To them, the biggest motivator is security. Okay, so right back at that base, they need to feel safe. So when you're discussing to them, what does safe mean to them? What is secure? Is that being financially secure? And obviously their basic fear is insecurity, not knowing what's going on. So again, that's about controlling those numbers. You see, we keep coming back to the same thing every time, don't we? And the compliance one, they're very careful, they're very systems driven, they're precise. Most of them, you know, they have part of them, but if you're going to be a business owner, you probably need a bit of drive, that dominance in there as well. But if you are that sort of person, that compliance one, then those people, they need information, okay? So they're the sort of people that, right back, aren't we? Right back to one-page plans, key performance indicators, management accounts. They need information all the time. Give me information, give me information. And they want to avoid conflict. So they want things put into their business that means that they can run their business easily and calmly. So there might be things you want to do to help them manage their team better. There might be things that you want them to do that helps them manage their debt collection better because they're rubbish at debt collecting because they don't like conflict. All those things you can do. And that allows you to just, again, just understanding that about people just gives you a bit of a feel about how to do it and how to help them. The other thing is they help you, this sort of thing, the pace here, gives you an idea of how people like to receive information. So again, the dominance people, they like bullet points. They like a lot of information. They like information in very sort of deep, descriptive, little bullets of what they need to know. What do I need to know now? But they do like a lot of detail on key points. So it doesn't mean you don't need to tell them stuff. But when you're talking to them, I just need to know now. I just need to know now, and I'm aiming to make a decision. And then you can give them more information. On the complete opposite end of the scale, obviously the compliance people need lots of information. So like I said earlier, depending on the sort of people they are, and this is only an indicator, remember, everybody's a mixture, but an indicator. This helps you work out the best way of delivering your message to them and understanding the time scale that's going to be needed for them to accept your message. Okay, And some of those people who are D and go give them and make decisions quickly, they will be quite challenging clients because they will want you to be doing everything now. You know, they'll be in your face, tell me now, tell me now, tell me now. And they'll be very quick to judge if you don't deliver. So, you know, and again, understanding that and making it ready. Fantastic, Val, you're right. There's a free disc profile at tonyrobbins.com. It's brilliant, that one too. It's a really good one. Great idea to do on your team as well for giving information and connecting. But back to sort of talking about business owners. So all of this engaging people and connecting with people is really important because that forms the basis for how you're going to work together moving forward. Because when we move on to the value roadmap, that, you know, how to change and do things with people so they don't question value, part of that non-questioning of value is because they've already established this connection with you. They already trust you and that in your advice, okay? And then when we're trying to talk to them about other things they may need to help them to develop and grow their business, they already start listening to you, and they understand part of the value equation for them is that they trust your advice. So all this time you spend doing this, it's time well spent because you're building. Now there'll be some clients I know that you have in your client base that, do you know what, this isn't worth doing with, you think. And that's possibly true. There will be some of them that really don't. There'll be some that you have in your client base that you just do not connect with. They're clients and you've got them, but you don't connect with. Fine. Park them to one side. Let's start with the people that you do connect with, that you do feel you can help. You know, let's work up. You know, this doesn't apply to everybody, but those people who will become your greatest advocates, people who will tell stories about you moving forward, these are the people that you want to make this connection with. Okay. So obviously, if you're doing all of this, then we want to start earning some money from it, don't we? You know, it's good to invest all this time in people, but we need to earn some money. I'm not sure about my picture here. I was thinking about the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but maybe not. I don't know. I just didn't want it to just be money because there are other things we're going to earn. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, first of all, we need to define where they are now, don't we? And we need to make sure that we've got a clear picture of that. And those of you that have done your clarity roadmap, that's what we've done with you. We've tried to define where you are now. So we've got a line in the sand. This is what your situation is at this point. And then what we then did was define where you want to be. And this is what you need to do with clients. Where do they want to be? But then this is a bit of extra. You do need to define where they need to be and why and when, okay? Because there's a lovely wishes, you know, there's people that are things that definitely they want to have, you know, that villa in Spain. They want to give up work at the age of 50. They want to work 20 hours a week. But actually currently now where they are, where do they need to be to meet that hierarchy of needs, okay? Where do they need to be to feel safe and secure, that key bit? Or where do they need to be to start getting public recognition? So remembering on that triangle where they are, and when do they need it by, okay? So for example, there are several of you that I've talked to and we've looked at the numbers of where you are now and where you want to be, and particularly personal income, which you don't always look at as some of your key numbers, but it's really important. And when I've asked about that personal income, the need to be and the when has changed that number quite dramatically when we've started talking about maybe sending your children to private school, or maybe your children going to university, or maybe needing to take time out to be able to care for a relative, or maybe your need to do something else, to give you know, be able to go away for 3 months to go and help a charity, do some work. Whatever that need is, you can define what your business needs to be and when to deliver that. And that starts making it real. Okay, so there's a lovely want, and everybody has the want, but now we're going to go back to the need, and the need is to make it real. So where do they need to be and when by? And that starts giving you, again, some structure, doesn't it, about setting yourself some sort of thoughts about how you can help them. Once you understand that, you can define some timescales and milestones for them. This is not about you doing work, remember, this is about you helping them get to where they need to be and when, at the time they need it to be at. So giving them that structure, helping them and defining those timescales and milestones will really help them. So, okay, yeah, my daughter is 7, okay, I want to send her to private school when she's 11, so I've got pretty much 3.5 years at the moment to try and get that money together, to get everything in place to continue to be able to pay for her education. For example, that's an example. So, okay, we've got to sort these things out. How can my business deliver that sort of personal income for me to do that? Okay, or it might be time scales, or whatever it is, you just talk them through. And again, it's about them, isn't it? It's about their needs and how we help them. And now we're going to then come to our key value to them is that we can look at some key numbers and we can discuss the change. And what I mean about that is actually thinking about what is the true value of the change. So where they are now, where they want to be, where they need to be, and when, what is the true value of that change? If you can help them make it happen, make that change in their business, what is the true value? What would it mean for them, not only financially, but emotionally? Because we all buy emotionally. Steve does that great session at Masterclass about the fact that we don't think logically. I'm trying to think of the book. It's gone completely from my head. I'm sure one of you will remember and put it in the chat box for me. That we do not think logically when we actually come to buying decisions. Majority of our decisions are made emotionally. So thinking about that and making that connection is really, really important to show the true value. And once we've done that, once we can talk to them about what would it feel like if you could make this happen, and we could help you by supporting you with the numbers to make informed decisions about how you're going to change your business. What if we could help you by coming in and giving you some structure, perhaps putting systems in place? What if we could come in and help you get your team engaged? And you can obviously use the resources that are in System Builder to help do that. There's the questionnaire, there's the feedback forms, there's all sorts of things in there. Showing them what that is. And that's the importance really about having that. And of course, then what you want to do is create a service, a proposal that supports them. Okay? Again, making it feel personal. Okay, it's about them and them alone. It's their situation. And obviously, link that change to your proposal. So what we're going to make sure is that the value, when you start talking about how much it's going to cost them to help you to help, it's linked about that value equation. Yeah? Perceived benefits over perceived costs. That's the value equation, isn't it? And thinking about that. So having listened, having got that connection, engaged with them, shown them that you can help them achieve what they need to achieve and more, then being able to say, right, I would like to come up with a proposal of things we could do with you, then you can start linking to value. And obviously this is an opportune time to bring in perhaps Time's Up and talk about all the different services that you offer. So let's have a little think about some of those services that you can offer. This is whether or not these open or not, isn't it? Okay, so I'm just going to show you your Clarity workbook, those that you've got it. Okay, this is the page that you all have. Okay, other things are different because it is a personalized report, but this is that A4 sheet, and this is the where you are now and where do you want to be and when do you need to achieve it. So for you as accountants, as part of your Clarity roadmap journey, we ask you, the PGs ask you these key numbers. And there may be other numbers in here. Some of you may want to monitor your blood pressure. Some of you may even want to monitor your fitness. I don't know. There are other things that you can bring in, or there might be other business goals that you want to put in here that are the key things you want. Number of times I'm interrupted by my team, number of times it's challenged. Can you see this? I don't know if you can. Let me just check. I don't think you are seeing it, so let me just share the other screen. Sorry about that. I thought you were seeing it, but you obviously weren't. Right, so this is, I can remember in the Clarity book, so this is that. And this is the A4 sheet. So if you remember, again, we've talked about this before, the simple A4 sheet of paper where you can just go with a blank sheet and you can draw this grid on it and you can go, right, this is where you are. Tell me where you are now and where you want to be and the date. And knowing this information, you can help them spot where the challenges are. So for some of you, it might be these numbers up here that we've talked about. How do we increase your average fee? And we've talked about your pricing strategy. It might be the number of clients you've got, so because you need to improve your turnover. So we've talked about marketing strategy. It might be the fact that you've still got debtors and there's a problem with debt collection, or it's not as good as it should be. And so we've talked about debt collection processes. We've talked about pricing using Times Up so that you get clarity of payment and you get direct debit paid, or you might want to use Go Cardless or whatever else. But we've looked about structuring how you communicate to your clients to remove that debtors in future. It might be hours worked. So some of you, what we've focused on is how do you spend your time now? So I know I keep nagging most of you to do that have come on the clarity and positioning to do that what am I really doing diary, to try and track all those things, non-chargeable things that you do that actually take up your time, so that we can start systemizing them, or we can delegate them, or we can just stop doing them and focusing on that. Some might be personal income. And again, I just talked about that. Maybe you've got a reason for a need of personal income, and therefore, what do we need to change in these to make sure you get the personal income? So just as we've done it with you in Clarity, and if you haven't had Clarity done yet, please, please book a call with us to do it, because it's a really good exercise to get some focus on where you are. But you can do exactly the same thing, obviously, with your clients. So thinking about that, if I just go back to my slide again. So you've got that A4 sheet. So you could do something very similar with your clients. It's a really simple process, and it allows you to drill down. So the answers that you get, drilling down and saying, well, why is that number important to you? What does it mean to you? What would happen if we didn't achieve that number? What would happen if we exceeded that number? All those things to try and gauge. I remember I talked earlier about how passionate they are about wanting to make changes and do things. There are some people who, it doesn't matter, you know that you could really help them. You could really make a difference. But actually, they're just not there. Do you know what I mean? They're just not there. So if they're comfortable in their place, just give them the information that you can help them and move on to the next client who can help. Okay. Now then, see if that'll open. Yeah, that's right. So let's just change this for you. 1 second. Oops. Sorry, I just need to start sharing a different screen with you. So you all know this anyway, so you really don't need to see it, but I just thought I'd show it you anyway. So this is the one-page performance improvement plan from Benchmark. Okay, so again, this is another little tool to show value. So those people, if you remember, that are halfway up that hierarchy of needs, that actually want a bit more of a claim, want to know that they are doing as well, if not better, than their competitors, this is a great tool to talk about. And the thing that I would really want to point out to you is, as well as this great sheet here that you can all use, and it has some really great information here that starts getting them to ask you and to help. The sheet after this one is a blank one, if you remember. These areas are empty. So having discussed with them these sort of information, then they can set their own targets. And you can say, would you like help with that? Remember, that's our only phrase, would you like help with that? And that gives you things. So being able to show somebody an example of one of these, just like this, which again, if you're an advanced member, you've got them, there's one I think already in System Builder because it's part of the performance measurement improvement system. But if you haven't, then just print one off from Benchmark, from one of your existing clients, put it into Word so you can take your client details out. So you've got one there to show that this is the sort of thing that we can do for you that helps you make informed decisions. Okay, so we can see that there are issues with this business. Let's help you. So again, it's that sort of thing, isn't it? It's about making sure that we're showing them, remember that trust thing I talked about earlier, we're showing them we can help, we can make a difference. And so knowing that, the other thing is obviously the one-page plan. Okay. So let me share that, which again, you already know this inside out. Those of you that have advanced membership, you already see this and you use this regularly, I know. But again, this is another example of showing to people. So thinking about those profiles, okay, remembering those dominance people, the D people, I just need information. Here you go, just information. Those people that are the high SIC, steadiness and compliance, that's great as an overview, but they will want detailed reports behind it. Where did that number come from? Okay. And the key, remember again with this document, is about showing to people what we're going to do is we're going to take your vision, we're going to work with you to create a really succinct picture of what you want. And we'll come up with the key performance indicators that mean that we can track that change. So that number, that sheet we did before, that A4 sheet of where you are now, where you need to be, where you want to be, we can make sure we're on track moving towards those numbers in the timescale that we've agreed. And if we're not on track, these key actions up here mean we will need to do something about it. Well, sorry, you will need to do something about it, Mr. Client, but we can perhaps help. So showing them all of that is really important because, again, they've got that information available to them. So let's go back to, sorry. Funny, isn't it, when I don't often use slides, so it's throwing me today that I'm using slides, but I wanted to show you stuff, so that's why. So let's share the slides again. So this all leads, doesn't it, to the performance measurement and improvement system. So that is your 8-step process for showing people you can deliver the whole package. So those people that want that comfort, the security, when you're meeting them, you can say to them, look, I can give you this if you need. And we can do it either bit by bit, so we can cherry pick things out of the PMI system, or we can do it all in one go, and it's all there ready for you. And this allows you to do that, doesn't it? So I know that you're doing that. I've got some great resources around this. Most of you have customized your own PMI system folders, which is great. Again, showing prospects and clients that you are, it's that know, like, and trust. It's understanding you're credible, that sort of thing. The other thing that, just again, a little one I wanted to just mention, often when people come to you, and if you think about that hierarchy of needs, that security one is a big thing. And it's always around money, isn't it? They're always worried about money. So I just wanted to remind you that in System Builder, there's a great resource. It's called 31 AVN Tools for Improving Cash Flow. And it's, if you want to go look at that, that's got a whole list of things that you can talk to your clients about. Obviously, these are things that you're going to offer to do for payments. They're not free. But this is, again, showing people these are things I can do. So what you're going to be doing, obviously, is being able to come out and be able to talk then about pricing, earning, isn't it? So let me just go back and I want to just for a very quick second show you, go into Time's Up. So let me just open it. Okay. So just a little reminder, okay, because this is some things that are coming up recently. Do you remember at the beginning we talked about the know, like, and trust and why people should work with you? And one of those things is that they see you as somebody who understands their business. And I just wanted to remind you of a few things. So in the options, okay, you can set up business types, and the business types can be there to show people you have a specialist knowledge in here. And the idea is that on the proposal, the fixed price agreement, this text in here, this box here, will show them that you have that knowledge. Okay, so the language that you use in that paragraph will make all the difference. Now, that's really important because when we know that when people buy from you, they want choice, and that's why in Time's Up you've got the 3 options, choice, but they also want certainty. They want to know that they've made the right decision when they buy from you. Now, part of that is going to be earned by all that conversation you've just had, okay? The fact that they now know, like, and trust you, that has built in some of that confidence that they're making the right decision. But when they go away, once they've said yes or they're thinking about it and they want the proposal, it's really important that one of the first things they see at the front of that proposal is a paragraph that sort of convinces them that they made the right decision. And that will be the text that you've put in this box here, okay, the FPA text. And so be really careful about how you write that. So, you know, whatever the language is that needs to really engage those people, use it in there, and that will come through on the fixed price agreement. Okay, so just wanted to flag that because that's a way of differentiating yourself and reminding people. The second thing I wanted to just show you again, is that when you're going through this, you may or may not be talking about accounts work. Okay, so if I go down, I can just scroll down here. You already know, don't you, that you can do the no accounts one. And the no accounts means that it'll just ignore the fee for the accounts and it will start doing stuff. But obviously you've just talked to this person about all these things you can do with them. And so this is an opportune moment to talk about your business growth service or your 5-star service. They may not financially be able to afford it. Your job is to help them be financially able to afford it, obviously, as you help them grow their business. But showing them that document that clicks up from System Builder with all the things you can do for them is really helpful. Switching it on so that they can see, oh, I don't know what I've managed to put in there, but I think we'll just close that one. Switching on what they can see that they're going to get amongst all the things you've talked about, you know, is a great way of doing it. So that they can see all that information that you've just talked about, and they can start seeing the value. You've talked about the value, and as you start showing the price, you're bringing them back to where they are now, where they want to be, how this is going to help, so they see that value. What I wanted to show you, sorry I got off a bit off on a tangent there, was this button up here to remind you that those of you that have got PMI can use the PMI switch or the Total Accounting Solution switch. So if you do the PMI switch, what happens is down at the bottom now, what you get are the sections of the PMI folder. So again, we want to talk to them about, you know, let's actually really define what you need. And this pop-up box is really good, isn't it? Because we can put in some language there that affects them. And if we want to, we can put in some additional text in there and save it that will appear on the report that will completely link it to them. So you might want to put a note on it or whatever, and you can then save it in there. So all of these things that we're starting to talk about, so the key performance indicators with the one-page plan, measuring key sales drivers, all those things we can talk about. So it's really important, is it? We can bring that back to that money, but it's at the same time. Now, this makes it quite a lengthy meeting. I do understand that. It might be a split over two, but don't put the pricing off on one on its own, okay? You've got to keep them in that frame of mind where they understand the value of what you're delivering. So back to that A4 sheet, bringing it back to there all the time. So really just a quick reminder that was to show you that that stuff's in there. Has anybody got any questions? Can the other work quote include the business growth as well? Oh, you mean, oh, sorry, there's a few of you, right. So Sue Taylor wants to know if the A4 sheet is in System Builder. Do you know, I'm not quite sure. I will check. I will make sure there is one if there isn't one already in there. There should be a blank one. Basically, what most people do is start with just a blank sheet of paper, because then it becomes their personal A4 sheet of paper. They're where they are, where they are. You can have a grid ready, like I do for the clarity call, but that's up to you. Can the other work quote, Nigel, include the business growth as well? Yes. So you can do the accounts and then switch that button over on Times Up and do the PMI on top, and it will build them all in. And if you've already bought one of the things that should be in PMI, then it knows not to price it twice. Is there a webinar to help with Times Up and how best to use it? Yes. So if you go into System Builder and you look for the Times Up toolkit, there you've got together all the training videos and all the resources that should help. If you've got any questions, then it's really, you know, pick up the phone, you know, Stephen, you use our own one with just 3 columns. So do you just have blank 3 columns, Stephen, or do you have, what do you have as your columns? And are they blank? What's important to you right now? Brilliant. Okay, so that's really good. Getting some focus. So Stephen's saying that on his, the really important thing is at the top of the page is what's important to you right now. Set the scene, get them engaged with that and know what they're doing. Okay, where do you want to be in 5 years' time? Where are you now? Okay, so you've set a 5-year period. Okay, that's cool. Brilliant. Some people, they like that timeline. Some people, they don't. They need a shorter one because they can't think that far ahead. My perception of time is not so good with that, so I'm the same in that I actually like to have a shorter deadline, you know, so I can see that something's going to be happening. But again, you need to. Oh yes, Jerry, do you want to be unmuted? That's fine. 1 second. Let me unmute you. Jerry, can you hear me? Can you talk? I've unmuted you. If you want to talk. I can't hear you. If you manage to get your mic working. Yeah, I know it says Gloria, but Jerry's been sat in for Gloria, Sue. That's why I'm saying, Jerry. If you get your mic working, just butt in, but I can't hear you at the moment. Okay, so I think that's really important that you've sort of got that, all those different tools that you can show them. If you've done the AVN book, you've obviously got some credit. Thank you, Guy. I thought Joe's never that quiet. You're quite right. So it's important, isn't it, to get all those things together. But what I wanted to point out with, 1 second, if I can just get my screen back. Oh, dear me. These Macs. Oh, are you on? I can hear somebody. Oh, wait. So the things that I want to say is, as well as money, we also earn something else. We often earn respect from people because you've listened and you've paid attention and you've cared. You will earn a huge amount of goodwill. And these people, as you've seen, you know, in this book, do you remember all those people coming up on stage at that conference to come and tell us about their wonderful accountants? You know, they came up of their own free will to come and tell their stories, to shout about their accountants. And that goodwill is amazing, and they will share. Somebody's just trying to ask me a question. 1 second. Yeah. I think, can you talk, Jerry?
Yes, can you hear me?
Ah, yes, we can hear you. What would you like to say? Share, sorry.
Yeah, we're testing another equivalent to Time's Up at the moment, and I don't know. I've not touched Time's Up in quite a long while, but I'll need to talk to Gloria to find out on the comparison side of it. So what I would like to do is give you feedback, so you can see, if you like with like.
Yeah.
Because one thing that Gloria's found out with all the software that's been online, including Time's Up, she needs to really drill down and tailor it to what she wants. It's taken a while, although she loved Time's Up many moons ago. Things have changed and moved on. But one of the things that they're talking about Time's Up is people are going to be posting them on their websites. That's the new development. I don't know if you heard that one.
Posting what on their website, sorry?
A pricing model in terms of
actually putting. Okay.
Okay, that's what's in progress, in development, if you like, by another party.
Okay.
And they're suggesting that it allows the client to play with the options. So just to forewarn everybody, that's something that you could maybe look at or not. Probably not a good idea, but what happened I think the reasoning behind it was that a quote was given to somebody, then they were deliberately left with to choose their own options, and they ended up choosing the one that they did discuss during a meeting. But whether it's a good idea to post it on a website or let it have it as a special portal for the customer to play with, might be a better idea rather than having open on a public website.
Yeah,
So,
I agree with you. I think having it open on your website, that's just trouble, isn't it?
it
Because
is
people
actually
don't
trouble.
understand. Yeah, they don't understand what they're actually buying, and that's the
Mhm.
point of having that meeting, isn't it? So they have clarity about what they're buying. I think if you were going to do that, yeah, I would only do it through a client portal, so that you've already know that you've got a relationship with somebody, you've already had a conversation with them before they can start playing with the tool like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, okay. To me, the tool, Times Up is just a tool. It's just a structure for you to have a conversation with your client about all the services that you offer. I don't think I think it's hard for somebody to make an informed decision about what they're buying if they haven't had a conversation with somebody about what it is you're delivering, and the value concept. It's very hard to show the value concept through language, through words, typed on a screen. It's much easier when you can show somebody all those things, and that's that's interesting. But thank you very much for that input. It's interesting to hear that, and I will look into it. Thank you. If you want to give me some feedback, that'd be really good. Are you happy for me to move on?
Yeah, I'm now muted. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm just going back to sort of the earning, which I think it's really, again, one of the things that we often forget is how, is that this business that you have is there to serve you, not just your clients, okay? And I know we always focus on our clients because that's who we are, but like we tell every business owner, the business is there to deliver something for you, and it needs to deliver whatever you need out of life. And most of us not only need financial security, but we do need that feeling of self-worth, the feeling that we have made a difference or we have done something worthwhile with our day, our lives, whatever. And what happens when you do this sort of work, when you have these sort of conversations, is your client give you that. They give you that respect, that goodwill. They give you that acknowledgement that you have been worth something to you. You have been part of what they have done. And that, I feel personally, that's a really important thing, thing of what we need to do. And you should celebrate that, and that's why I said earlier about the stories is when you start working with somebody on a project, keep the story, keep writing what you're doing, keep writing somewhere in a little book or a page in the file, the things you did and the outcomes, the consequences of that action. What changed? How did the client feel? How did they sound? What did they say to you that made you feel great that you'd done something that was helpful? And that's what we have to bear in mind all the time.
Can I just input there, please?
Yeah, of course you can.
Yeah, thank you. What has happened is when clients start talking to you and you say, fantastic, what I encourage the guys to do is they get the information to me for a start. But I also, if somebody says something about some of the guys in the team, I just say, oh, it's all right if I use that, please. And what I suggest to them is, it'd be nice for a little testimonial. That really appreciate your comments there. So what I often do is like paraphrase something. So they don't know what to say to you if you ask them for a testimonial. And in fact, it's somebody was in seeing Gloria this morning, and they're wanting to provide a testimonial but want some guidelines. So it's really down to getting the right questions for them, and giving them questions so you can give them structures. And I've tried that particularly when we go in for awards. The biggest input, the biggest part for your awards is your client testimonials, and that's what really impresses the judges. And you've got to put them in no matter what, but give the client an opportunity and make it nice and easy for them to give you that testimonial. So give them that structure. I've got some questions I've used, and I gave it to one of the clients because she didn't know what to say. And it's the biggest, most glowing testimonial I've ever seen in my entire puff. So
you need to share those questions with us, Jerry. They obviously were brilliant questions.
No, it was, she said she actually apologized that it wasn't enough, which is bizarre. And I says, well, if that's you not, like really saying anything, I can't wait until you really get your hat on to say something. So give them opportunity and just let them just tell you how good you are. Don't be shy.
Thank you. That's fantastic. And what I want to say really is that once you started doing all of that, make sure you link it back to you, okay? Right back to the very beginning. You know, I talked about connecting, and in connecting down here, engaging and earning. Right back to connect to you. So, you know, making sure, like you've just said, getting the testimonials, making sure that you record somewhere how happy they are, having some sort of feedback process to ensure that you've got something on file. And just like Jerry was saying, you know, about getting those great testimonials, if you have, during the time you've worked them, been writing down the things that you have done and the consequences and how they felt, then when you go back to them, you can remind them of all those things. You know, Tracy was amazing at doing that here, and that's what she did with Michael Hem. She made notes of all the things that he had been doing during the year, and then when it came to award time, she went back to him and she just said, do you remember when? Do you remember when? Do you remember when? And she took him back to those moments, and he could remember what had happened, and he could remember how it felt, and he could write his entry for in that case for an award. But that's how you get testimonials and referrals as well. So use it and bring it back to you. Has anybody got any questions? Because I've talked about lots of things, and I see it's 10 to 2 already. If you want to put them anything in the box, and because I'm just sort of really going to have a little bit of a close now, so I think really the next steps for you is there are probably lots of things. Yeah, I agree, Jerry. It'd be great if you could share those questions. So maybe you could email them to me, and I can send them out to everybody that's on today.
I'm just popping them in the chat box now.
Oh, you're fabulous. Brilliant. So prioritize your action plan. So you'll probably come away with lots of things today. There are things you saw that you probably went, oh yeah, I know that. I just need a bit of a reminder. So how do you create things that will remind you to do these things and prioritize your action plan? If you haven't been on it already, book on the positioning event because I think that would really help you with some of that. Take the language challenge. So you remember I said earlier about that visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Let's see if you can spot those people, see if you can change your language to reflect what they're saying or doing or hearing, and see how that affects their behavior. And really, I wanted to just remember that all these inspiring accountants in this book really were just honest, caring people. They listened and they helped. They used the knowledge that they and you already have. You know, when you look at the book and you look at the things that these people have done to be seen as inspiring accountants, they have used all the knowledge that we already have as accountants. They didn't come up with anything amazingly new. Okay, they did one-page plans. They did business plans. They did, you know, help with tax savings. They did all. There was stuff that they were already doing, and they used that knowledge with their clients. And really, that's what's inspiring, when people take stuff that they already have and use it in a slightly different way. And I know that you can do it too. So what I'd like you to do is, if you haven't started your roadmap journey, please go to bookacall.co.uk and book a clarity call, and let us do that chart, that A4 sheet with you, and get some focus for you. And obviously the learning, this is the great thing, isn't it, about with AVN? Everything that you learn and you use on yourself, you can use on your clients. So just as we are taking you through these journeys, then you can do the same with your clients. And then the other thing is, just a few things to remind you of, the next training session is on the 12th of July. It's based around the 7th roadmap, which is purposeful. So how running your practice on purpose will lead to greatness is its title. So on purpose, it's about being that inspiring accountant and how to make sure you've got structure in your business. And if you're already on the Clarity Roadmap, please book on the positioning event on the 26th of July, if you can. That'd be great to see you there, where we look at what is your unique value proposition, what is it about you that's special, help you create your elevator speech, help you create your marketing language, work out what it is that we can make sure that you are positioning your business and attracting the clients that you want. And if you're already on that one and you're working through it with us, that's great. And maybe you're ready to move on to the value one, which is on the 13th of July.
Do you mind if I input again, please?
Yeah, of course you can.
Yeah, we're talking about testimonials. I hope you don't mind me giving you guys some. Gloria joined in 2006 after we went down to the NEC Motorcycle Museum when I think you were at Vital Solutions then. It's allowed her to punch above her weight. She's always said that to you guys. and we've looked at everything that's out there, and we're still members of AVN because the tools, the resources you get from you guys, and the support is second to none in the accountancy profession. We're also members of 2020, as you know, but you guys really produce the goods, and I'm on here, although we've been here since 2000 with you guys since 2006. I'm on here as a refresher, and just some of the tips that you've given us today has really got me refocused again. And to me, that's all it's about, getting focused so I can save time to do even more and better things. So thank you very much for today.
Oh, thank you. That's very, very kind. Thank you. Feedback is one of the things, isn't it, here? So all I want to know is, has this been a valuable use of your time? If you want to put yes or no in the chat box, it just gives me a bit of feedback. If you do want to give me any feedback, or you want me to contact you and give you any more support, if there's any of the things that I've talked about today that you'd like to learn more about, again, just go to that book called at avn.co.uk. You can pick any one of us as the practice growth experts. It just tells you pick our name and a time that's good for you, and just put in there what you would like. It would be great to talk to you. Well, thank you very much, everybody. If anybody's got any questions, we've got just under 5 minutes left, or I can finish early. It's up to you. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for those that have joined in. It's been brilliant today. Really enjoyed talking to you all. Okay, just wait for a couple of minutes and see if anybody's got any questions.
Hi, Emma. It's me again.
Yes, I know, that's
fine. We had a staff meeting, team meeting. We don't call
Oh, you said the
staff
S
anymore.
word.
I know. That was naughty of me.
Oh, go and wash your mouth out, honestly.
I won't spit, honest. Yeah, on the team meeting, and Gloria was using something to do with the VAC thing with in terms of the NLP.
Yeah.
For the learning process and things like that. She used a version of it, and we got a profile which is quite interesting. So have AVN got anything in terms of something that members could use just to get a profile of their own team, so that they can have a bit more of an insight? Because one thing that came out of it, we all started looking, listening, and hearing differently from each other, because it really does make you think, like, all right, people, that quizzical look on their face really means I haven't got what I'm trying to say over to them.
That's right.
So have you got any questionnaires that the members could perhaps use just as an indicator, rather than something that's fully fledged in terms of the VAC type thing?
I'm not sure. I think there might be something. If you there is now a team member toolkit in System Builder, where again we've pulled together all the team member resources. So it's worth having a look at that first. And obviously I've got stuff that I use and that we use as a training here internally, so I'm quite happy to share that and put it in System Builder. That's not a problem at all. So I can do that. If there isn't, I'll look, and if there isn't, I will put something in for you, Jerry.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
I do have one, because last year I did my my BTEC in education and training, and as part of that they gave me a VAC questionnaire to use, so I can definitely share that.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. Thank you very much.
Okay. Tony, can you direct me to the positioning roadmaps and other roadmaps? Yeah, so the roadmaps, you only get them when you come on the events. The clarity one you get done through a call, and that starts you on the journey. But then to get the other ones, you need to come on the events. And the reason for that is because the roadmap itself is a workbook for you to work through, and the day is about understanding the importance of key sections of that workbook and being able to complete it while you're there and brainstorm with other members and with members of the AVN team, around those ideas. So what you need to do is you need to come on the positioning event, Tony, and you'll get your roadmap and start having access to the others as and when you're ready for them. It is a sort of structured process to get you through. And we're finding that it's really good that we're keeping people on track with them using them. Anything else? Well, thank you to everybody who's come and still on. If you haven't put in the box whether or not it's been a valuable use of your time or not, if you wouldn't mind just putting that in, just so that I've got my feedback to hand in to my boss, so you can see how good it is. Obviously, you'll watch the video, so we'll know. But thank you for that anyway. Okay. Thank you very much, Jerry. Have a great day. Okay, so I make it 2 o'clock. Thank you very much for attending. And I hope to see you all soon. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to stop the meeting now.